back in 2019, I made a video about Yakuza Like a Dragon, basically saying I felt people weren't hard raging enough about it, really. Like, it's not uncommon for a series to take a radical new direction or present a massive twist, and for everyone to scream blue murder and threaten to rape the wives of the developers. And Yakuza Like a Dragon definitely didn't get that response, which on one hand is probably kind of good, and on the other hand made me a little upset because I actually wasn't at all happy with what they seemed to be doing. And having played through it and finished it, I'm still not. It's not that I'd call it a bad game, but it's not one of my favourites in the series. And to be blunt, I don't particularly like playing it. There's a lot I do like about it. I like the story, I like the characters, I like the world. I just don't like this bit all that much. I find it kind of repetitive and shallow and easy and mind-numbingly boring, and a lot of other negative sounding words which would describe someone who's not particularly frustrated and is maybe somewhat content to push on, but isn't really all that engaged. Now, spoilers, this is the final dungeon of the story. I don't think I'm gonna spoil any big plot things here. Like, you could kind of guess if you played the series that you always fight your way through a big building at the top of a world, sort of towards the end. This probably, this isn't that dissimilar to, like, say, Yakuza 6 or a similar thing. Of course, Yakuza 6, that took me far less time and I was far more engaged. This, I'm kind of just spamming, you know, my same few things to knock everyone out. Like, this is pretty much how I played most of the game. I learned what was a good move to take a lot of guys out, then I hit them. There are 2 points where the game really does push up the difficulty, and both those fights I immensely appreciated. Now, I'm gonna spoil them, but so is every fucking trailer, so yeah, here we go. If you don't want to know, I'm about to say it. Okay, so the Kiryu, Majima and Saejima fight, all difficult. I think I fought them way under level. People say you should fight Kiryu at, like, I don't know, level 54, 56 or something, and I fought him at like level 44, 46 or something. And I had fun with that fight. That was probably when I was actually strategizing and having to carefully, like, think out what I wanted from my party, how I wanted to do this, what would tactically work. Problem is, even that wasn't the best because you basically have to run back to this job center to switch your classes. So every time you want to massively rejuggle how your team's sort of made up, that's probably like a, you know, at least like a 10-minute trip, depending on where you are on the world map. The Saejima Majima fight is even worse, because if you want to radically change up your party to fight that, and no, I didn't do the battle dungeon beforehand. And you know what, you should thank me. I liked the game a lot more, probably due to, you know, having to actually think what I was going to do, other than what I'm doing now, which is just kind of like barely thinking and just using the same techniques I've been using for a ton of other fights for ages. And you know what, if they just let me, like, switch party members up the difficulty in the other sections, you know, and I might have came way more positive to this. So it's not like I dislike JRPGs as a whole. In fact, I'll say it flat out. Like a lot of Western RPGs, I have this exact same problem with, and that's why I'm sort of cynical about the whole genre to a degree. Nothing bugs me more than when a series I'm into goes more and more RPG. You know, like, I'll fucking complain about Doom Eternal. I'm enjoying Doom Eternal a ton right now, but I don't like having to knock off 25 like scorpion tank aliens tails to upgrade my shotgun or whatever those stupid perk missions are. So yeah, that was my problem with this game. So let's talk about some other factors. The narrative, really good some of the time. Near the start, I absolutely loved it. Then it kind of gets a bit too much, like, let's listen to a guy in a room talk for like 20 minutes, and I zone out a little. But when it's strong, it's fantastic, and the ending genuinely a strong tearjerker. So yeah, I like the story. Do I think it could have been better? Maybe a bit. Some of the party members towards the end have very little to do. The initial threesome of our three main bros, they're just fantastic. When they're having their small adventures near the start, I'm just loving every exchange. When you add a woman into that, yeah, it could have been far worse, I guess. And when you add 3 more, I'm like, well, these guys don't have a ton to do. But overall story, very strong. I want to talk about how I think it could have been better, but I want to save that for when I talk about Shenmue and how it differs to this series and stuff like that. But overall, yeah, I like that a lot. What I didn't like, well, that's going back to the gameplay again. Because it's not just this. Let me get to something else. Okay, people. I don't know how you guys like this stuff. I just... Like, I have an hour-long clip of me playing this stupid fucking minigame, and I would have much sooner had them just translate the fucking Yakuza mobile game over. Because, holy shit, this was boring. And once it's like the RPG stuff, but way worse. Because there's so many menus to go through. But I've never got any pushback on this thing. Like, I swear, beating this whole massive side quest was just a grind. Like, yeah, it's funny, the little animations, like watching Ichi run about, but I just figured this whole thing out very quickly, and I ignored the instructions. Like, the only time I came close to, like, not succeeding at this was on the very first mission, because I ignored the fucking instructions completely and just went off guesswork, so I didn't do as well as I would have. And then once I learn it, this whole game was like, this whole minigame was like several hours of just me spamming the same strategy over and over again, which meant looking at lots of menus and selecting the same thing over and over again, and then pressing a thing to watch a little animation, and then I do go back to the menus and I spam the same choices, and then I do it again, only, you know, it's not as good as I'm making it sound, because there's long chunks, like here, where I'm just skipping through dialogue and, okay, loading times, and... you get me. I don't know why people like this stuff. Like, I generally... It's really easy business management. Like, I know people complain with, like, GTA when they're like, well, GTA, can I buy businesses? Can I buy more houses? And I'm like, why would you want to run businesses in GTA? All it ever does is break the economy and make all the side missions and money earning stuff pointless because the businesses are better. And the same happens with Yakuza. Like, Yakuza does its stuff a lot better, but it's still the exact same thing, just these really easy minigames. And no, I don't like the Quebec blah blah hostess club management stuff. It was boring and very easy. And the same goes for Kiryu's business management in Zero, and I'm just like, can I please go back to killing animals with a shotgun rifle, or I don't know, delivering people about with a taxi? All that stuff was way more enjoyable than this minigame, and this took me multiple hours, and it's just incredibly boring. Like, I don't care that I can recruit a monkey as well as a chicken. This bored me a lot. I just wish, like, maybe had it been pushing a lot more to be more difficult and gave me more quicker ways to, like, keep everyone happy, just have a button where I just spam all my money to make sure everyone's maximum happiness, because I do that all the time anyway, and it's always beneficial. And I just like, this is not fun. So yeah, I don't know why people keep liking these stupid minigames. I guess this is just a weird, overlong rant about how I don't get why people keep encouraging them to put this business stuff in, when really, this isn't much better than like any generic Facebook games. And look, if it was some generic Facebook game, I wouldn't need to do it to unlock one of the party members. Okay, that's about it. Okay, I'll talk about the other ones. Yeah, I really like delivering, I like picking up cans in a bicycle, okay? I thought that was really good fun. you know, it's just this is the one which they decided you should probably spend hours and hours of your time doing, because it's the one which gets you the most money and actually unlocks in-game story content and a party member, and then if you want that party member to level up faster, you better. You know what I'm talking about, people. So let's stop that now. So what else do I have to say? Well, really, this wasn't meant to be a particularly in-depth review about the narrative or individual mechanics or some big teardown. I just wanted to give my sort of feelings about this, because like I said, I generally loved a lot of it, but it's just kind of let down by the fact that I didn't actually enjoy the core. And let me just say, I think it does a good job of justifying why it's an RPG insofar as, hey, if this had been a traditional Yakuza game, it would have been really weird to have this big cast of characters following you around, even if sometimes it just randomly decides certain ones in your party aren't there during certain cutscenes, which I guess you can always write up as being part of the main character's imagination, which I do hope is used to maybe justify more weirdness in terms of gameplay. Because while I didn't necessarily like this experiment, hey, I wouldn't mind them like doing something in a completely different genre again, using, hey, the main character is maybe a bit mentally ill. That's an interesting little detail I noticed towards the end of the game in the story, which makes me suspect they might have some interesting things up their sleeves. I'm gonna leave that for now, because I've made this video fairly negatively, but you know what, I want to go back to this game, both first of all to talk about Shenmue and how I think that has nothing really in common with this series, or at least far less than a lot of other open world games, and also how I sort of think that, hey, maybe this is a good step in certain ways. Look, this has been more of a way for me to get out my negative feelings, because a lot of people seem to really enjoy this, and I just was not there really on that. You know, if I was rating the game on whether the ending made me cry, this would be like a perfect 10, but I'm weighting the game on a lot of my actual experience when playing it, and a lot of it was just me kind of going, well, I'm not really all that engaged, I'm just kind of selecting the commands, I know what will do, I know what will work, I've got the timing down on all of these, and if I haven't, it doesn't really matter. And yeah, I know you can pull off this whole argument that, you know, you can make every brawler easy or whatever. Like, yeah, you can always spam health in the previous ones if you want, and that kind of ruins the challenge. But hey, in my defense, you can spam healing items in like the Devil May Cry games. Like 5 is, even on the hardest setting, like, it gives me so many extra lives in Devil May Cry 5, I basically had to say no, I'm not using them, much like health items in this. Zelda Breath of the Wild has the same thing. You know, I'm just going to defend my my don't use health items during combat rule for a little bit. So, yeah, well, that's kind of it for me. If you didn't have the same issue as I have with, like, Witcher 1, or to be honest, any of the Witchers, I don't think they're all that fun, or I don't know, the Persona games, I did finish 4, I didn't get the best ending, and I couldn't be bothered to go back for it, because I thought that wasn't very fun. I'm not hardline anti-RPG, I just think this is a trend I get into a lot. Like, to me, the whole RPG genre has way too many games where you get into kind of a sensible rut of, like, you finish off the side missions, you level up, you feel satisfied, you go into the menu, you buy all the stuff to make your characters better, you do it again, and I don't know, I just feel too often they feel like a sort of very easy management game, and this was what this felt a lot to me. It was a game about managing a bunch of stuff, and it wasn't very hard to manage. And when it was hard to manage, I didn't appreciate having to take taxis back to the job centre and having to watch the load times, which I'm sure are better if you're playing from next-gen consoles, but hey, I didn't, so there we go. My review is now irrelevant. The load times were worse on my version, so if you play it on like PS5 or whatever, you won't have to wait as long to go to the job centre and change your classes on like the 2 or 3 challenging fights in the game, so there we go.